Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare. Hare
Ram Ram
Krishna
Ram
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna.
Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyev च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. नामाचार्य शीला हरिदास ठाकुर की जय. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्री वासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devidasi from Texas College Station, welcoming all of you to Bhakti Sangha conference call. I thank all of you for attending this session. Please forgive me for interrupting your ecstatic chanting. I would like to read the 10 offenses to the holy name which are to be avoided, written by Srila Vyasadeva in Padma Purana. 1. To blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their life for propagating the holy name of the Lord. Second, to consider the name of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal or to be independent of the name of Lord Vishnu. Third, to disobey the order of the spiritual master. Fourth, to blaspheme the Vedic scriptures or scriptures in pursuance to the Vedic version. 5. To consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be an imagination. 6. To give some interpretation to the holy name of the Lord. 7. To commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name. 8. To consider the chanting of Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities which are offered in Vedas as fruitive activity karma kanda. 9. To instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name. 10. To not have a complete faith in chanting of the holy name and to maintain material attachment even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to achieve the desired success of Krishna Prema. Once again, I thank everyone for joining today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. May I know who all joined this morning?
हरे कृष्ण विनीता गंधर्विका माता जी दंडवत प्रणाम शिला प्रभुपाद की जय गुरु महाराज की जय प्रीतिदासी from Charlotte. हरे कृष्ण.
Hare Krishna Preeti Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you, Mataji, for joining every single day, giving your association. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण.
Is there anybody
Hare
or
Krishna, Anita Gandharvika Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Anita Ramya from Sharjah. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Anita Ramya Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining and giving your association. Welcome to the call, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Our worship to Srila Prabhupada, our worship to Guru Maharaj. This is Shama Gauri Devidasi from Charlotte.
Hare Krishna Shama Gauri Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining and giving your association. Welcome to the call, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Gandharvika Mataji, all glories to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj's. My humble obeisances to you and all the devotees. This is Krishna Kumari Devidasi from Raleigh. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Krishna Kumari Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining and giving your association every single day. Welcome to the call, Mataji. Hare Krishna. I will start the recording. Prabhuji is there. Hare Krishna everyone, welcome to Bhakti Sangha conference call. Today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Radhika Vallabha Prabhu to enlighten us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam 8th Canto 12th chapter 35th verse. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to your wonderful services to the ISKCON Prabhuji. Thank you so much for always coming on to this Bhakti Sangha call and giving very beautiful classes, Prabhuji. We are eternally grateful to you. Over to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Pranams to all the devotees assembled at the Bhakti Sangha Japa conference. We'll begin the Bhagavatam class with the Mangalacharana prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuronmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamsya He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Hare Krishna. Welcome all the devotees in the Bhakti Sangha Japa conference. So today we are reading the Canto 8, Chapter 12. Lord Shiva is Mohini Murti, incarnation, bewilders Lord Shiva. For the chapter, verse number 35. 7. Kanne retasi sopashyad atmanam deva mayaya jadikritam nripashrestha sanyavartata kashmalat. Word to word translation. Kanne, when fully discharged, retasi, the semen, saha, Lord Shiva, apashyat sa, atmanam, his own self, deva mayaya, by the maya of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, jadi kritam, had become victimized as a fool, nripashreshta, the best of the kings, Maharaj Parikshit, sanya vartata, restrained himself further, kashmalat, from illusion. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Translation. O Maharaj Parikshit, best of the kings, when Lord Shiva had fully discharged his semen, he could see how he himself had been victimized by the illusion created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus he restrained himself from any further maya. Purport. Once one is agitated by lusty desires upon seeing a woman, those desires increase more and more. But when semen is discharged in the act of sex, the lusty desires diminish. The same principle acted upon Lord Shiva. He was allured by the beautiful woman Mohini Murti. But when his semen had been fully discharged, he came to his senses and realized how he had been victimized as soon as he saw the women in the forest. If one is trained to protect his semen by observing celibacy, naturally he is not attracted by the beauty of a woman. If one can remain a brahmachari, he saves himself so much trouble in material existence. Material existence means enjoying the pleasure of sexual intercourse. Yan maitunadi grihamedi sukham. If one is educated about sex life and is trained to protect his semen, he is saved from the danger of material existence. Hare Krishna. Skanne retasi sopashyad atmanam deva mayaya jadikritam nripashreshta sanyavartata kashmalat. Nripashreshta is the Sambodhana Vibhakti word Shukdev Goswami is addressing Parishit Maharaj. O best among the kings. And then he describes Retasi Skanne. Retasi Skanne, when the semen had been fully discharged, Deva Mayaya Atmanam Jadikritam Apashyat. Deva Mayaya, by the illusory potency of the Supreme Lord, Atmanam Jadikritam, how I have been fooled. Jadikritam. Deva Mayaya Atmanam Jadikritam. By the illusory energy of the Supreme Lord, how I have been fooled, how I have been victimized. Apashyat, Lord Shiva saw that. Lord Shiva saw that. And then what did he do? Kashmalat Sanyavartata. Kashmalat. Kashmalat here refers to running behind Mohini Murti. He restrained himself from running behind Mohini Murti. Or he restrained himself from further Maya. That means he restrained himself from further following Mohini Murti. Kashmalat Sanyavartata. So it's a very interesting episode in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So we see Lord Shiva is the Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu, is the greatest among the Vaishnavas. One of the previous verses it is explained, the word Eva comes. Lord Shiva, from one point of view, he, according to the Bhagavatam, it is mentioned in the same chapter. If you see, which verse it is? In the same chapter, just a few verses before, in the 31st shloka, the verse came, Tasyasau padavim rudro Vishnor adbhuta karmanaha pratyapadyata kamena vairineva vinirjitaha. As if harassed by an enemy in the form of lusty desires, Lord Shiva followed the path of Lord Vishnu, who acts very wonderfully and who had taken the form of Mohini. So Lord Shiva is glorifying Lord Vishnu in a unique way. Lord Shiva is accepting his subordination to Lord Vishnu in a very unique way by defaming himself. Generally, we like to render services from which we will get some credit, we will get some praise, we will get some appreciation from others. But Lord Shiva, in order to glorify the supreme position of the Lord, he was willing to be defamed by putting himself as a victim of the illusory energy of the Supreme Lord. That is why, as if it is mentioned that Eva, the 31st shloka. So, so many various lessons we can see from this particular episode. idle curiosity. There's a saying that curiosity kills the cat. So from when we see especially the pastimes of great personalities where they apparently commit mistakes, we have to see the pastime from two point of view. From the divine point of view and from the human point of view. From the divine point of view, it is a pastime orchestrated by the Lord. Lord Shiva is putting himself in the situation as if haunted by the lusty desires. Lord Shiva followed after Mohini Murti. So Lord Shiva is accepting his subordination, is glorifying Lord Vishnu through this pastime. So that is how we see the pastime from a divine point of view. At the same time, we also see the pastime from a human perspective in order to learn some lessons from this pastime for our level. For our level. So, if we see only from the human point of view, we will learn lessons from our level. We will learn lessons for our level. But if we don't see the pastime from a divine point of view, then we might misjudge the great personalities involved in the pastimes. We may misunderstand, oh, even these personalities like Brahma, Shiva, they are also like me only. Like that we may misunderstand that position. If we see only from a divine point of view, then we may not learn the lessons which are needed from our for our level. So therefore, we also have to see the when we see from a divine point of view, it protects us from misunderstanding the exalted position of the great devotees. When we see from the human point of view, we can learn many lessons from the pastime for our level. So we see that this is a pastime where Lord Shiva, he wanted to have the darshan of the Mohini Murti. So Lord Shiva was thinking, these devatas and asuras, they were involved in the Samudra Manthan. Devatas were completely involved in the Samudra Manthan. Asuras, of course, they became infatuated by seeing the Mohini Murti. But the Devatas, they did not get bewildered by seeing the form of the Mohini Murti. Although they were involved in the churning of the milk ocean. But I was not at all involved in the affairs of the universe. So definitely I will not be bewildered. Like that Lord Shiva was thinking. So he wanted to have darshan of Mohini Murti. So Jigyasa is also appreciated by Krishna in the Gita. Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukruti no Arjuna arto jigyashur artharti jnani cha bharatarshava. Jigyasu is mentioned by Krishna in between Artha and Artharthi. By that, Krishna says that both Artha and Artharthi, they are expected to come to the stage of Jigyashu. So, but at the same time, curiosity. One should have curiosity, but one should not have idle curiosity. So, Lord Shiva's curiosity to see the form of Mohini Murti, it is something like an idle curiosity. So, Lord Shiva, I'm just coming, just 1 minute. So it is like a idle curiosity. When we are curious about something which is not required, then we can get carried away. Markandeya Rishi had conquered the temptations sent by Indra to disturb him from the tapasya. He was not affected by all those temptations, but he developed an idle curiosity to see the Maya of the Supreme Lord. Just like Lord Shiva developed a desire to see Mohini Murti. So sometimes, although one may be there with a great personality, but if we developed an idle curiosity, which will not benefit us in our devotional service, it can spoil one's spiritual life. Balabhadra Bhattacharya was with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but he developed idle curiosity, desire. He heard a rumor that Krishna is dancing in the hoods of Kaliya in Yamuna. He came to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I want to go and take darshan of Krishna, dancing in the hoods of Kaliya. He became a victim of mental speculation. Kala Krishna Das was there with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but he also got carried away by the Bhattaharis. Mother Sita was with Lord Ram, but she found something more beautiful than Lord Ram, that is a golden deer. Ram is beautiful, but she found the deer to be Abhiram, more beautiful than Ram. So then she was separated from Ram, and then she sent Lakshman also. She was separated from Lakshman, and then she landed up in Lanka, all because of idle curiosity. Srila Prabhupada told Bhavananda Prabhu, when you keep on looking here and there, you will go blind. When the senses are abused, then the senses will become blind. So sometimes a person may become curious about what are there in the different websites, many websites which contain blasphemous information about the Vaishnavas. I just want to see what is there. That kind of curiosity can kill one's faith. So therefore, Vedanta Sutra begins with this, Atato Brahma Jigyasa. At the same time, one must inquire about the Supreme Brahman. The purpose of human life is to inquire about the Supreme Brahman. Kamasya Nendriya Pritir Labho Jiveta Yavata Jivasya Tattva Jigyasa Narto Yascheha Karma Vihi. The purpose of human life is not kama. One must accept whatever is sense gratification just to maintain one's body. The purpose of human life is to inquire about the Supreme Absolute Truth. And the purpose of inquiring about the Supreme Absolute Truth is to worship the Supreme Absolute Truth, is to meditate on the Supreme Absolute Truth, or to serve the Absolute Truth. That is why that purpose of inquiry about the Supreme Absolute Truth is indicated in the first words of the Bhagavatam by the term Satyam Param Dhimahi. Let us meditate on the Supreme Param Satya, the Supreme Absolute Truth. So, suppose a disciple is there with the guru. Sometimes a guru may have to travel to certain countries in the karmi clothes, in the pant shirt. Suppose if a devotee think, I want to see my guru, I want to see this guru sannyasi in the pant shirt. This is idle curiosity. What is the benefit of that actually? So, therefore, one has to be careful. Even in the modern psychology, there is a term for idle curiosity, what is called as FOMO, fear of missing out. Lord Shiva probably thought that I didn't get to see Mohini Murti. Markandeya Rishi thought that I didn't get to see the Maya potency of the Supreme Lord. So this is the FOMO. Many people went to Kumbh Mela because of FOMO, not because that they were conversant with the story of Kumbh Mela. So many people are going, so I should not miss out. So therefore, the idle curiosity is important, should be avoided. In the Bhagavatam, we find every question asked by the different speakers. Even if the question apparently seems to be on a subject matter different from Bhakti, Bhagavan or Bhaktas, but they connect that question with the glories of Bhagavan and the glories of Bhakti. For example, Shaunak Rishi is asking a question. Kasya hetur nijagraha kalim digvijaye nripaha nideva chinnadrik shudra kosau gamya padahanat tatkatyatam mahabhaga yadi Krishna katashrayam. Why did Parikshit Maharaj simply punish Kali? The Kali was the lowest among the Shudras, but why did Parikshit Maharaj simply punish him? Who was dressed as a king and who was torturing the cow. Please describe all these incidents if they are relating to the topic of Krishna. So they were not simply interested in some quarrel, some interesting thing. They are asking that Yadi Krishna Katashray. Third canto, 7th chapter, Vidura asks a series of questions to Maitreya Rishi. At the end, he says that Yetan me prichata prashnan hare karma vivitsaya bruhi me yasya mitratvad ajaya nashta chakshusha. After asking so many questions, Vidura says that since I am ignorant, having lost my sight because of Maya, I have asked all these questions with a desire to know about the pastimes of the Lord. Because some of the questions, when you see, questions asked by Vidura in that chapter may appear that why is Vidura asking this question? How is it related to Krishna? Vidura asks about Shraddha rites, about the general pious activities, about the different calculations of time, etc. One may think that why is he asking this question? But Vidura is clarifying. I have asked all these questions with a desire to know about the pastimes of the Lord. Please reply to this question since you are a friend. So when all these questions are answered, I will have complete concentration on the Lord's service with indifference to everything else. Then when I have full attention on the Lord, then I can attain Him. So that is the purpose of Vidura asking those questions. It is not idle curiosity. All those questions were asked with a goal of fixing one's mind on Krishna. So So therefore, that even when we see Kapila Devahuti Samvada, Devahuti at one point asked Kapila Dev, Yo yogo Bhagavad Bano Nirvanatmam Svayoditaha Kidrisha Katichangani Yatas Tatvava Bodhanam. What is the yoga mentioned by you which is aimed at the Lord for liberation? And what is the jnana by which one understands the tattvas? How many limbs does the path of jnana marga have? So this question is about the path of jnana marga and about the path of Ashtanga yoga marga. One may wonder why Devahuti is curious about jnana marga and Ashtanga yoga marga. She should be asking only about the path of bhakti marga. So why she is asking that question is that Devahuti was thinking that it is said that the inquisitive person knows his own idea and intelligent people knows others' ideas as well. So although I am going to practice only pure bhakti yoga, but I should also inquire about yoga and jnana in order to have firm confidence how bhakti is superior to Ashtanga yoga and jnana marga. Isopanishad mentions that Vidyam cha avidyam cha yas tadvedo vayam saha avidyaya mrityum tirtva vidyaya mritamashnute. One must know Vidya and Avidya simultaneously in order to enjoy the full blessings of immortality. Sambhutim cha vinasham cha tadvedo vayam saha vinashena mrityum tirtva sambhutyam mritamashnute. One must know both the temporary material manifestation and the Supreme Lord's name, form, qualities, and pastimes. So the Upanishad says that one must know, but one does not need to experience Maya. Markandeya Rishi wanted to see Maya. Lord Shiva wanted to see the form of Mohini Murti. So one need not, one has to have knowledge about Maya, but one need not experience Maya. That can fall in the realm of idle curiosity. Markandeya Rishi lost so many years when he got the vision of Maya. Lord did not force him to give up the desire. He simply smiled at Markandeya Rishi. Okay, may you experience my Maya. So here also Lord Shiva did not force upon Lord Vishnu did not force upon Lord Shiva. He did not interfere with the free will. Okay, may you see the form of Mohini Murti. So better than experiencing and learning, better than that is to hear and learn. First class learning is simply by hearing and then learning it. So we see here this particular pastime teaches a very important lesson. How even great personalities, even they get affected by the Bhagavan's illusory energy, especially in the form of a woman. The Shastras repeatedly mention about this point. There's a Subhashita which says that Yekam vastu dvidakartum bhagavas santi dhanvinaha jayatyeka smaro dhanvi dvayor aikyam karotiya. There are many expert bowmen in this world capable of splitting an object into two using their sharp arrows. All glories, however, to that expert bowman named Cupid, who unites two into Cupid actually unites two people. He unites the heart of two people, man and woman, through his arrows. That is the unique nature of Cupid's arrow. Mahabharata says that Kama bandhanam evaikam nanyat astiha bandhanam Kama bandhana muktohi brahma bhuyaya kalpate. There is only one attachment which keeps a person within the material world, and that attachment is Kama. There is no other real attachment in this world. One who is freed from this attachment is truly free and he is eligible for liberation. Pururava. Pururava speaks a beautiful realization called Aila Gita, 11th canto, 26th chapter. So Pururava says that Kim vidyaya kim tapasa kim tyagena shrutena va kim viviktena maunena stribir yasya manohritam. He says that what is the use of a big education or the practice of austerities and renunciation? And what is the use of studying religious scriptures? And what is the use of living in solitude and practicing silence if after performing all these things, one's mind is still stolen by a woman? It's similar to Narada Pancharatra, Aradito Yadiharis Tapasa Tatakyam, Naradito Yadiharis Tapasa Tatakyam. What is the use of performing tapasya if one is ultimately not engaged in Krishna's service? In the same style, this verse comes in Pururava. So Pururava is like it's a story of breakup. When he got broke up with Urvashi, what were his final realization? That is described in the Aila Gita. There is a beautiful shloka which comes. Akrita premaiva varamna puna sanjata vigatita prema udrutanaya nastamyati yatahi na tateha jatandaha. This verse says that it is better to have never made love, or it is better to have a unconditional love, or it is better to have never made love than to have loved and then been separated. So when a person becomes attached to another person and then one gets separated, one will go through great pain. So better than that is not to become attached to a person, or better than that is to have a unconditional love. An analogy is given. A person who was having very good eyesight, but if his eyes have been removed, he will suffer so much. More than the person who is born blind. Because a born blind person, from the birth, he had not seen anything. But a person who had eyesight for many years, and then his eyes had been plucked out, who was attached to, especially suppose he was attached to sightseeing and going to different traveling and seeing places, and then he's lost his eyesight, he will suffer so much. So therefore, this verse says that the suffering of a breakup is more intense than never having loved at all. Therefore, this verse says that if you want to love somebody, have a uncontrolled, unconditional love. That means basically without attachment or on the platform of duty, nishkama karma, or uh, have no attachment, like that. So we see here, so the Shastras warn through this episode about the power, this powerful force called as Kama, which is the binding, which is the main reason for a living entity to stay in this world. Pumsastriya maituni bhavametam tayor mito hridayaganti mahu ato grihakshetra sutapta vitte janasya mohoyam aham mameti. Rishabhadev gives us important teachings to his sons, in that he mentions that how the Kama binds a person to this world. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Kapila mentions in his teachings to Devahuti, Na tatasya bhaven moho bandhaschanya prasangataha yoshit sangat yata pumso yata tatsanga sangitaha. Tatsangi sangataha. The infatuation and bondage which accrue to a man from attachment to any other object is not as complete as that resulting from attachment to a woman or to the fellowship of men who are fond of women. And further Kapila Dev says, Prajapati swam duhitaram drishtva tadrupa dharshitaha rohit bhutam sonvadavad riksharupi hatatrapaha. At the sight of his own daughter, Brahma was bewildered by her charms and shamelessly ran up to her in the form of a stag when she took the form of a hind. And further, Kapila Dev says that there is only one person in the entire Brahmaji's creation who is free, who has conquered Kama. That is Naranarayana Rishi. Tat srishta srishteshu kon akhandita dhi puman rishim narayanam rite yoshin mayeha mayaya. Amongst all kinds of living entities begotten by Brahma, namely men, demigods and animals, none but the sage Narayana is immune to the attraction of Maya in the form of a woman. And then he says that Balam me Pashyamayaya Strimaya Jaino Disham Ya Karoti Padakrantan Bruvijrimbena Kevalam. Just try to understand the mighty strength of my Maya in the shape of a woman, who, by the mere movement of her eyebrows, can keep even the great conquerors of the world under her grip. So Kapila Dev speaks about this. In the Padyavali, Rupa Goswami's collection of the shlokas, in one of the shloka he says that he talks about the futility of the various methods to conquer Kama. Kashayan nacha bhojanadi niyaman nova vane vasato vyakhyanad atava munivrata bharad chittodbhava kshiyate. The arising of lust in the heart is not stopped by changing one's dress, by wearing a saffron dress, kashaya vastra, or by taking some Ayurvedic medicines for reducing the kama icha, or by regulating one's food, or by staying in a forest, or by explaining the Shastra in the various ways, or by taking a complete vow of silence. He is talking about the futility of the various methods. In the Mahabharata, there is a section called as Kama Gita. In the Kama Gita also, it's mentioned, Naham Shakyonu Payena Hantum Bhutena Kenachit Yomam Prayatate Hantum Nyatva Praharane Balam Tasya Tasmin Praharane Puna Pradurabhavam Yaham. So Kamadev is saying that I cannot be slain by anyone by any existing means. If a person should seek to slay me by putting trust in the strength of some particular means, then I appear in that very same means and conquer them instead. If somebody tries to conquer Kama by using some means, so Kama says that I appear in that very means and I conquer them instead. So therefore, Shastras say that the main means to conquer Kama is that experiencing a higher taste. Experiencing a higher taste of Bhakti Rasa. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinah rasavarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. So param drishtva means experiencing a higher taste of Bhakti Rasa. By that one can actually conquer the Kama. Krishna says in the Gita, Shaknoti yaiva yahashodam prak sharira vimokshanat kama krodad bavad krodod bhavam vegam sayukta sasuki naraha. Before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of kama and krodha, he is well situated and is happy in this world. In the Bhagavatam 10th canto, very beautiful section where Muchukunda Maharaj, he speaks. Muchukunda Maharaj says that, he says, Nirjitya dik chakrama bhuta vigraho varasanasta samaraja vandita griheshu maitunya sukeshu yoshitam kridamruga purusha isha niyate. He says that having conquered the entire circle of directions and being thus free of conflict, a king, a man, sits on a splendid throne and he receives praise from others. He receives praise from other leaders who were previously his equals. But the same man, when he enters the women's chambers, he is led about like a pet animal. Oh, my dear Lord, like that Muchukunda is praying to the Supreme Lord. So, therefore, this This is described in the Srimad Bhagavatam in different places. So, Kapila Dev's teachings, like that, many places it will explain. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto, in the Putana episode, we see that Putana is the first demon sent by Kamsa to kill Krishna. In the Ramavatar also, the first demon killed by Ram is Tataka, a woman. In Krishna Avatar also, Putana is the first demon, a woman, who was killed by Krishna. Harishuri Maharaj, he writes a beautiful shloka. Why Kamsa chose Putana as the first demon to kill Krishna? He says that Jataschediha Kaschanapi Bhagavat Sevanuraktendrayo Vignastatra Varangana Pratamata Pradurbhavatyutkata Tannishtatmani Chet Dridatuladayas Tam Vignamutsarayat Ya Bodhiti Cha Putana Gamanatas Tannashato Gokule. He says that in this material world, in this samsara, by some good fortune, if a living entity becomes attached to the service of Krishna, to become attached to the devotional service of Krishna is a great fortune. If a person, by some good fortune, if a person becomes attached to the service of Krishna, and if he decides to engage his entire Gokula, it refers to the Gokula Gram, the village. But Gokula also means, Go means Indriya. Gokula means Indriyon ke Samuha, the collection of the senses. If that fortunate person decides to engage all his senses in the service of Krishna, then in that person's life, the first obstacle which will come in the person's life, which will come as an obstacle to engage his senses in the service of Krishna, the first obstacle comes in the form of a woman. Or the first obstacle comes in the form of the attachment to women, Stri Asakti. But somehow, just like Nanda Maharaj was surrendered to Krishna, and he had full faith in the Bhagavan. So similarly, if a person is surrendered to Krishna and he has full faith in Bhagavan, then that merciful Bhagavan, he actually drives away that obstacle in the form of the Stri Asakti. So this same Siddhanta is taught by Krishna through this episode. Because Nanda Maharaj had engaged the Gokula village in the service of Krishna. And he came to see Kamsa in Mathura. And the first obstacle sent by Kamsa was in the form of Putana. But because Nanda Maharaj had faith in Krishna, that obstacle was destroyed by the Lord. Similarly, if a sadhaka bhakta has faith in Krishna, that obstacle will be destroyed by the mercy of the Lord. Therefore, In the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, second chapter, Srila Prabhupada writes in a purport. He says that one cannot enter into the kingdom of God unless one is perfectly cleared of all the sins. The material sins are products of our desires to lord it over material nature. And it is very difficult to get rid of such desires. And then he says that women and wealth are very difficult problems for the devotee making progress on the path back to God. Many stalwarts in devotional life fell victim to these allurements and thus retreated from the path of liberation. But when a person is helped by the Lord himself, the whole process becomes as easy as anything by the divine grace of the Lord. To become restless in the contact of women and wealth is not an astonishment, because every living being is associated with such things from beginningless time. Anadya vidya yuktasya purushasya vedanam. In the Bhagavad Gita, one is associated with such things from time immemorial. And it takes time to recover from the foreign nature. But if a person is engaged in hearing the glories of the Lord, gradually he realizes his real position. By the grace of God, such a devotee gets sufficient strength to defend himself from the state of disturbances, and gradually all disturbing elements are eliminated from his mind. So therefore, we see that in the third chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaks about the Kama. Kama yesha. Arjuna asked the question, Atakena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichan api varshneya baladiva niyojitah. And Krishna, Arjuna asked that sometimes beyond, it seems that we are forced to do something which we don't like to do. What is that force which impels a person to commit certain abominable activities? So Krishna says that Kama yesha krodha yesha rajoguna samudbhavaha mahashano mahapapma vidyena miha vairinam. It is Kama only which is the enemy of the living entity, which is born of the Rajoguna. And then Krishna says that Dhumena vriyate vaknir yata darsho malena cha yatolbe navruto garbhas tata tenedam avrutam. So Krishna gives the three examples. Just like fire is covered by a smoke, just like the embryo is covered, the fetus is covered by an embryo, and just like the mirror is covered by the dust. So similarly, the living entity is covered by this Kama. The Atma is covered by Kama. So all three analogies have the same purpose. Living entity getting covered by Kama. But why to mention three analogies? What is the need of mentioning three analogies? It appears redundant, especially when you are giving a very Gita is a essence of all the Upanishads. Sarvopanishado gavo dogda gopala nandana Partho vatsa sudhir bhokta duktam gitamritam mahat. When you are giving the concise essence, then one will not unnecessarily want to repeat something. If a person is repeating something, it will have a particular purpose. So what is the purpose of giving three analogies? Vedanta Deshika, he describes in his Tatparya Chandrika. He says that the first analogy, that is fire getting covered by smoke. So there is an inseparable relation between fire and smoke since beginningless time. Similarly, Kama has covered the Jivatma since beginningless time. That is the point which is mentioned. Prabhupada has mentioned the same point in the Bhagavatam first canto, second chapter purport, which we just read. Since beginningless time, the living entity is accustomed to these things. The second analogy, mirror covered by dust. When the mirror is covered by dust, even if you clean the mirror, again dust gets settled down. You again clean, again dust gets settled down. You may clean the mirror multiple times, but dust keeps settling down. So similarly, even when we keep removing the karma again and again by different means, except Bhakti Yoga, the karma keeps settling down again and again. That is what Rupa Goswami mentioned in that Padyavali Shloka, or that Kama Gita Shloka. When you employ other means to remove karma, but the karma keeps settling down again and again. The real means to remove karma is that param drishtva nivartate, the superior taste of bhakti rasa. And the third analogy, embryo covered by the womb. In the case of the embryo covered by the womb, embryo cannot come out of the womb on its own. Similarly, one cannot conquer karma by one's own effort. One has to take the help of the Supreme Lord. One has to surrender to Krishna to win karma. Daivi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mameva ye Prapadyante Mayametam Tarantite. So, therefore, that these are some important lessons. Lastly, so we also see that how the Shastra is not hesitant to present stories of Lord Shiva getting attracted by Mohini Murti, or Brahma getting attracted, or Vyasadeva writing about his own birth, Indra getting infatuated. Shastra presents these stories. Shastra does not hide these stories. At the same time, Shastra presents these stories without diminishing the greatness of the personalities involved. Shastra does not diminish the greatness of the personalities involved. So therefore, that Shastra, at the same time, Shastra presents these stories in such a way that in order to instruct the living entities about the three great ways to hell, Kama, Krodha, and Lobha. Trividam Narakasyedam Dwaram Nashanam Atmanaha Kama Krodhas Tata Lobhas Tasmat Etat Trayam Tyajet. And another thing we see that when a person wants to see Maya face to face, it is like looking into the eyes of the monkey. We are going to Vrindavan, many monkeys are found. We are doing Govardhan Parikrama, so many monkeys are there. But when you stare at the eyes of the monkey will pounce upon you. Even though you may be surrounded by hundreds of monkeys, you have to walk in such a way that the monkeys don't exist only. So therefore, you have to, one should not try to face Maya. One should not look at the eyes of Maya. Rather, sometimes one should neglect such desires. Another lesson in this pastime is that, of course, I mentioned how Lord Shiva, the Parama Vaishnava. But another lesson, sometimes when a person becomes overconfident, so demigods did not get affected by Mohini Murti, so I will not get affected. So there is a overconfidence, there is a slight pride. So therefore, Lord Vishnu smiled at Lord Shiva. So Lord Vishnu protected Lord Shiva from the pride by giving him kama, by making him victim of kama. So Krishna's protection is inconceivable. Sometimes Krishna may protect a person from a greater anartha, like a pride. When a person becomes proud, one may commit Vaishnava aparad. I am better than others, like that one start thinking. In order to protect a person from pride, sometimes Krishna may make a person victim to kama. By that one will become humbled. One will become humbled. So, Lord Shiva, Mohini Murti ran in those places where the followers of Lord Shiva were present. When a person commits a mistake, when a person's frailties are exposed in front of a follower, that is a very embarrassing situation. After that, such leaders, they don't want to face those followers. And sometimes they want to come out of that community where they were previously respected. But Lord Shiva, after the entire episode, he jubilantly glorified the Lord in front of his subordinates. So that shows that Lord Shiva was not identifying himself as the leader of his followers. To the extent a person has an identity, well, I am the leader of these followers. To that extent, a person will become embarrassed when his faults are exposed in front of the followers. But when a person is guiding his followers, but his internal consciousness is that he is identifying himself as the servant to the Supreme Lord. He is absorbed in a servitude to Krishna. In that mood, when he is actually guiding the others, even when his faults are exposed in front of his followers, one does not get embarrassed. Rather, Lord Shiva jubilantly glorified the Supreme Lord. How powerful, how wonderful is the illusory energy of my master. So therefore, we see that we can see the glorious character of Lord Shiva. And after the whole episode, the followers of Lord Shiva did not reject Lord Shiva. Nor did Parvati reject Lord Shiva. Sometimes a great person may commit a mistake in a particular circumstance. There are three natures. One is conditional nature, constitutional nature, and a circumstantial nature. Conditional nature means according to one's swabhava. Somebody is an introvert, somebody is an extrovert, somebody is a Brahminical, somebody is a Kshatriya, somebody is a Vaishya, somebody is a Shudra. Like the different natures are there. There is a conditional nature. Constitutional nature is every person is a servant of Krishna. Jivera Swarupohai Krishnera Nityadas. And something is a circumstantial nature. Circumstantial nature, sometimes in a particular circumstance, a person may act contrary to his natural swabhava. Parishit Maharaj, because of being troubled by hunger and thirst, he put the dead snake in the head of Samika Rishi, the neck of Samika Rishi. But that was the circumstantial nature. Because never before Parishit Maharaj had even dreamt of disrespecting a Brahmana in his entire life. So here, Lord Shiva, we can see, in a particular circumstance, he ran after Mohini Murti. So by the circumstantial nature, we should not actually bring down the person. By the circumstantial nature, we should see the overall personality. So neither Parvati nor the sages rejected Lord Shiva after this incident. So therefore, Pakistan may send certain relief material when there is an earthquake in India. But by that, you don't conclude that, oh, Pakistan, what a benevolent country. Throughout the year, they export terrorists. And then when there is an earthquake, they send relief material. By that, you don't judge with the circumstantial nature. Sometimes a normally bad person may also act nicely in a particular circumstance. So in this way, we see that there are various lessons in this particular story. Few points which I could gather, I try to share here. So we'll end here. Hare Krishna. Anybody has any comments or questions?
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Very wonderful class. As always, very nicely you said about the ideal curiosity, how it is, and how one behaves, and what is their subhava. So very nicely we explained the class, Prabhuji, and so many lessons from this past times. So thank you so much, Prabhuji. And yeah, so dear devotees, any questions or realizations, please go ahead. I just like the point when you said that when we go to Vrindavan, when we see the eyes of monkey, the monkey will come and catch us. So the same way this Maya. So when we are too much attracted, and means Maya tries to allure us. So when we are attracted and when we want to see that just a moment is enough. So it will catch us and it won't leave us. So yeah, so that was very nice to understand, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Mother. I just more collected something and spoke. Way beyond my realization, I am also just a practitioner, sadhaka, trying to practice bhakti yoga.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Koti Koti Danvat Pranam. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for
Hare
your
Krishna.
deep devotional association.
So shall we end here?
Thank you, Mataji. Yes, Prabhuji. So we don't find any questions or hand raise. So there is a
Thank you
glorification.
so much, Prabhuji. What a wonderful class. Janma Mataji has raised her hand.
Janma Mataji.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna, everyone. Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much for philosophically charged class that is so beneficial to us, and especially to me. We have a lot of things to chew on. Thank God for AI companion. But Prabhu, one of the things that I I mean, there's a lot of things that I got from your class, obviously, but I just want to highlight. So, in essence, it's saying that wealth and women, in terms of lust, these are the two powerful forces that is of this world that makes us fall down, and that's why we use even examples of Lord Shiva. We cannot be overconfident, and we cannot take our eyes off Lord Krishna, right? And then on the other class, Prabhu, I also heard that women demonstrate their own particular lusts in a different way, right? Like for women, because there are grave consequences society wise and psychologically, even just biologically, if we fall into that lust. Not to say that in the modern world, women don't suffer the same thing that men suffer now too, because women are becoming more privy to the dangers of this lust in the modern world. You see that in social media, like everyone is like practically naked, so there is a degradation of stuff in this world. So after giving that background, Prabhu, do you think there really truly is a sinister energy that is constantly working against us because we're in Maya? Like the changes, I mean, I'm 50 years old, 49, and I've really seen the degradation of generation when it comes to um it's more like inviting lust over and over. There's no more modesty. Okay, so that's first question. The second question is for women, if it's not about lust sexually, I think we demonstrate lust in terms of like material hoarding. We want a beautiful house, we want a beautiful clothes, you want total standing and parties and et cetera, et cetera. How do we conquer this pervasive need that seems to be programmed in us to constantly desire, right? So that's the second question, Prabhu. And the third question is the desire of women for all these, lusting over material things, comforts and security and building a home and etc., like things like that, right? How do we balance as women sort of like having this program and having this inclination? How do we balance that to build a beautiful home and then not being taken over by our lusts, by material comforts that is so programmed in us, also being in a woman's body? Prabhu, those are the three questions. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Can you once more repeat the first question? I didn't get the first question.
Oh, I don't even know now. Oh my goodness. It's okay. Just answer which one, Prabhu.
Yeah, I'll just
Oh, I
share
think the
whatever
first
my
question
thought.
maybe was about the sinister energy of the sinister energy that we have in Kali Yuga being inciting more lust for women towards material comfort and stuff. Is there like a sinister energy that is truly happening? Because our lust is demonstrated in a different way. It's not so much a sexual way like men and stuff, but we also suffer, I think, what men suffer, which is in terms of material wealth, desire for material wealth and protection and security.
Very thoughtful question, Mataji. You are being experienced in the going through the different situations in life. You are being aware of what is going around. You asked a very thoughtful question, practical question. Uh, Therefore, definitely there are challenges for every person, whether a man or a woman or a brahmachari or a sannyasi So, therefore, like Shastras, therefore, Krishna has given the system of Varnashrama. We cannot, when we are living in a particular situation, Krishna has to take as far as possible when we are living, if we are staying within the Varna and Ashrama, that's a protection for us actually. Bhagavatam says that out of the 4 ashramas, Grahastha ashram is the safest ashram. Shastra says that anashrame na tishtet. Do not stay without an ashram. So there's a protection also. At the same time, we can also get more absorbed in the, as you mentioned, security and the social functions are different, accumulating different, hoarding different things. So then, therefore, the Bhagavata Dharma becomes important. Hearing Srimad Bhagavatam regularly. Yeah, we need to definitely, there are certain requirements of our living. Certain requirements are there. At the same time, not going beyond our, not holding beyond what is required. Atyahara prayasascha. Not endeavoring more than required. So sometimes we may be doing more than what is required, and therefore we need the help of association of devotees who can actually tell us, okay, but probably you are putting more effort in this direction. It is just not required. That is helpful. And the Shastras give different standards. Prabhupada, like for example, in the Prabhupada also mentioned, and also in the different Dharma Shastras mentioned. Shastras talk about how to deal with this Upastha Vega. Upastha Vega. Brahmacharis and sannyasis, they deal with a different way by dovetailing that energy in the Shastric study and different other ways. Grahasthas, they involve they indulge the Upastha Vega by begetting children and raising the children in a Krishna conscious way. And Shastras give 3 different levels, 3 different standards also. So sometimes in certain aspects, sometimes people, when they emphasize only one standard, and then when a person in front of you is unable to follow that one standard, which is the highest standard, then one will feel that then he may end up fulfilling his urge in an immoral way. So the highest standard, like in the Shastra, it's explained that begetting children only for the purpose of indulging the union between man and woman only for the purpose of begetting children. That is the highest standard which is given. And also there's a second standard which is given. The second standard is that union with one's wife once in a month. Like that it is mentioned. The second standard. Prabhupada also mentions in some places. And the third standard the Shastras give is that just living with one's wife. That means not going after some other women. Like that, the third standard is given. That is also brahmacharya, like that Prabhupada says. These 3 standards are also mentioned in the Dharma Shastras. So, we just like in the Bhagavad Gita, 12th chapter, Krishna speaks about different standards. If you fix your mind on me, if you cannot do that, follow this standard. Fix your intelligence on me. If you cannot do that, follow sadhana bhakti, like that. So similarly, every aspect of dharma, grahastha ashram, particularly in regards to the union between man and woman, 3 standards are given in the Shastra. Even in the brahmachari ashram, Shastras talk about 4 different standards. A person after the Upanayana samskara, a person observes brahmacharya vrata for 3 days. and then he gets married. And then next standard is that a person observes the brahmacharya vrata for 1 year after the Upanayana samskara, and then he gets married. And then the higher standard than that is that till a person completes the study of the Shastras, he stays in the Guru's ashram and observes brahmacharya vrata, and then he gets married. And then the highest standard is that Naishtika brahmacharya. So what happens sometimes in the societies, like for example, when we see in ISKCON society also historically, so for many years, they had only emphasized the highest standard, become a full-time devotee, lifelong brahmachari, like that. And these other three standards were also there in the Shastra. And when it is not known to the people, or when they are not spoken only, when somebody is not able to follow the highest standard, he will be portrayed as a failure, as a fall down. And then that creates different problems. So therefore, similarly in the Grahastha ashram, as I mentioned, three standards. So there are three standards mentioned in the Shastra. One understands one level and then follow the standard according to one's level, and then aspires to come to the next standard in regards to, say, accumulating wealth, or in regards to this one. In that also, we can see the Shastras say that, for example, in the case of a Vaishya, he has a natural desire to accumulate more and more money. But the same verse in the Uddhava Gita, Krishna says that, but if the Vaishya also should develop the quality of increasing one's charity or dedicating oneself to charity. If he develops this quality, then he will not be affected by greed, like that it is. So like that, so as a woman, we have a natural attraction to children, house, this one. So let us make the house, let us make Krishna the center of the house. Let us serve the deity of Krishna. Let us see the house as a temple of Krishna. We have a natural attraction to children as a woman. So let us also try to educate other children. Let us not, instead of yeah, also while taking care of our children, also let us also try to do something for other children. Bhakti, I think Brihad Bhagavat Maharaj, I think, Brihad Murdanga Maharaj, I think, he once told in the class, the Grahasthas, they may have attachment to house, children, etc. But they should also, maybe they can try to do some charity for other children, somebody who is financially poor, or do something to teach other children. By that, we can overcome our attachment, like that. So one is being conscious of our weakness, and then trying to go to the next level, and then be steady in that level, and then go to the next level, and then be steady in that level and go to the next level, like that. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for that very practical advice, and then also for providing another lesson to many different levels that we can aspire to. And you are right, Prabhu, because sometimes, especially for, say, new devotees, and even if you think that you're advancing to maybe like something like middle, sometimes it becomes overwhelming when these things are not being talked about, because immediately, I think sometimes in an organization, there's an immediate expectation of where you should be on the spiritual path, but you don't know really what level you're dealing with. But it's almost as if like everyone is being put on the same expectation. And then we kind of like, we even if the outside world or the institution is not being compassionate towards us, then as a return, we don't become compassionate to ourselves. And then it becomes overwhelming. And then sometimes you end up quitting. And instead of like developing that steadiness and faith and resolution towards bhakti. So I appreciate you so much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you very much, Mataji. Your question, I think, helped us to churn the subject even more. Thank you very much for your question.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Prabhuji, for that very detailed explanation. Devotees, if you have any questions or realizations, can go ahead. Okay. So we don't find any more questions or hand raised, Prabhuji. So just there is a glorification about the class in the chat box by Jayananda Gaurahari Prabhu. He's saying the class was very good. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. So with your permission, we can end the session here. Dear devotees, let's pay our obeisances to Prabhuji. Vancha kalpatarupasya
कृपा पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
Prabhupada ki jai.
जय
Radhika Vallabha Prabhuji ki jai.
Jai.
जय।
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for your valuable
Hare
time.
Krishna Prabhuji, that was
Thank you,
pranam.
Prabhuji.
Thank you.